Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having an incredible day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. We always hear modern translations are needed because they update the language. That language has shifted, even though the King James Version of the Bible is one of the pillars of our language, as is Shakespeare, that holds it what makes English English. But we hear this constantly. But what if it didn't make things easier to read? What if it is still difficult to read? Well, I've done many videos on the comparative readability from various Flesch-Kincaid studies and all this. But let's get started. We're in Lawrence Vance's wonderful book, Archaic Words, Authorized Version. We're in the NIV, the New International Version, which is considered, even after 40 plus years, to be the most popular Bible in America besides King James. And some people would say including the King James. So here's some archaic words that Dr. Vance, I just really like his website, Vance Publications, all that, just incredible. What a genius of a man. And here's some things, NIV, and then we may give some King James readings as well. In Ezra 9:5, the NIV says abasement, not a basement, abasement, where it's heaviness in the King James Version. In Isaiah 24:23, abashed. It's confounded, abashed. I think confounded is easier. In Ezekiel 40:18, it's abutted. In the King James, it's over against. In the NIV, you have the word alcove in Ezekiel 40:13. King James, it's little chamber. Alcove, yeah, I think that's armlets in Numbers 31:50. Blunted, Psalm 58:7, where it's cut in pieces in the King James. Some of these I might not read the King James just because for lack of time here on this. Blustering in the NIV, Job 8:2, strong, the King James. Burnished, Daniel 10:6, polished in the King James. Citron, everybody knows what a citron is, don't they? That's in Revelation 18:12, if I'm reading that scripture right. Colonnade is used instead of porch. Cooing is used instead of voice. Cooing in the NIV. Dissipation instead of riot in 1 Peter. Filigree. Everybody knows what a filigree is. I don't. Well, I kind of do. Exodus 28:20. It's in closings in the King James. Gauntness. Job 16:8. Leanness in the King James. Glint. And Habakkuk 3:11 means light in the King James. Glistening. Job 41:32. Shine in the King James. I mean, I'm just going to say shine is easier than glistening. Light is more common than glint. Leanness is more common than gauntness. In closings, far more common than filigree. Glutted. Well, that's full in the King James. The NIV. So you see the pattern here. I mean, the NIV has archaic language in it. If it's going to say, well, the reason that we did this translation is because English has shifted, we need to make it more understandable to the modern reader. Why didn't they make it more understandable to the modern reader? Goyim in Genesis 14:1 instead of nations. Harrowing instead of breaking clods. Impaled instead of hanged. And there's several more. I'm skipping just several. Negev, south in the King James. Nephilim, giants in the King James. Nubians, Ethiopians in the King James. Offal, the offal waffle. We have that here in Georgia. Offal is dung in the King James. Overweening, the Lord our victory. Isaiah 16:6, that's very. Overweening is very in the King James. Parapet in the NIV. How about pinions for wings? How about porphyry for red? How about portent for wonder? How about portico for porch? How about poultice for lump? How about praetorium for common hall? How about prefects in the NIV for governors in the King James? How about proconsul for deputy? How about profligate for glutton? How about qualm for fear? How about rabble for mixed multitude? How about repointing for sharpening or sharpen? How about reposes? Everybody knows what reposes mean. The King James is just resteth. I mean, it's just, even reveled is delighted themselves in the King James. Resplendent is glorious. Resound is roared in the King James. Revelry for gladness. How about ravining? Use that, Revening, ravining. Jeremiah 2:30. Do you know what ravining is? It's destroying in the King James. Rifts is pits. Sachet is bundle. Satraps, everyday word. How about lieutenant's a far more modern word in the King James. Sistrums in the NIV is cornet. Stadia for furlongs. To Kentucky Derby, they don't say stadia, to my knowledge. Terebinth is an elm. Terebinth in NIV. Tresses for galleries. Vassal for servant. Vaunts for strengtheneth. Verdant for green. I'd just say green. Vestments is apparel. Wadi is river. Waylaid is laid wait for. And wrenched is out of joint. So, I mean, you can just kind of see that there's a ton of archaic language in the NIV. So, it comes from inferior manuscripts with inferior translators, and it didn't fulfill its purpose to make it easier to read, at least based on this, dozens of words. So God bless. We love you. Just stick with the King James. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.